Hi, and welcome back to my Vermihut Worm Tower. This is the second feeding video, the second feeding for this worm tower, and it has been 7 days since, or 8 days since the last time I fed them. Here's a quick look at what they got last time during their first feeding. It wasn't a huge feeding, some strawberry tops, a lettuce stalk, a maraschino cherry, and a red bell pepper, along with some tea bags and some eggshell grit. I'm just digging through here to see if I can find any of that material still left in here. Oh, they also had some baby carrots, and they have seemed to really get in on those. Those baby carrots have been in the system since before I put them in this tower. This is a little tiny piece of that lettuce stalk, I think, but I'm not really finding almost any of that other material. This looks like a piece of one of the tea bags that was in there. They haven't really done too much, but there's a little tiny baby worm on here, so yeah, let me just rip that to give them better access to the inside of that. I have some tea bags that I'm going to give them today that I've already ripped a little bit in half, so yeah, I'm not finding any other really large clumps of worms besides that large clump that was hanging out around the carrot. So it looks to me like they're mostly just in that little ball. This bin only has probably around maybe 100 worms. I got these worms from another person who lives nearby, so they are red wiggler worms, but they are oh, here's the maraschino cherry is still pretty much fully intact. I'm gonna have to squish that before I put it back in. That worm was kind of large. But yeah, so I did not get a lot of worms. I did not buy them from a like compost worm source or anything like that. I got them from a neighbor who just gave me a scoop out of their outdoor worm composting system. So they've been hanging out with me for a little while, but they've not had a lot of feedings. I think this is like I had one of those paper bags that had the twisted paper handles. I think that was what that was. And this looks like plastic, but it might be like a bell pepper skin, I think. I'm sorry, I wasn't fully in frame there. But yeah, let me go ahead and just kind of create a little area to put in their next feeding. I have some pre-soaked paper shreds. These are just paper bag shreds. I'm going to squeeze out the water here though, because they're still a bit maybe too damp. So I'm just going to give them some additional bedding. They've got a lot of bedding in there from last time still, but just a little bit of bedding to help kind of give them some carbon source here. And I'm just breaking that up. The shredded paper, when it's damp, does kind of stick together and kind of compact together. So yeah, and then I do have some frozen food that I'm gonna put in here, but I don't know if all of it should go in at this point. There is still a small amount of food left over from last time with the lettuce stalk and the cherry, so I'm not going to put a ton in. I do have some banana peels. I have a lot more frozen food to give these guys, but I'm not giving them everything today. So I'm just putting in a couple of banana peels, and those have been pre-frozen already, and they were already really ripe when they were put in the freezer. I'm just going to squish this cherry too to help them access it better, and add that carrot back in there so that they can eat everything from last time too. This container, oh, it looks like I have some sort of onion skins on top. Not a ton though, so I'm just going to give all of those to them. I've got quite a few little pieces of broccoli stalk, so I'm not going to give them all of that, but I am going to give them a few pieces of it. I don't have any really large chunks in these little containers. I have a little bit of red bell pepper, which they seemed to really like last time, so I'm giving them one of those pieces again. Everything else in that other one was mostly broccoli stalks. This one seems like it's broccoli stalks too, but yeah, okay. I was going to say, I know I have an apple core down in here, so let me give them some fruits too. I think that they'll probably eat parts of this apple a little bit faster than like that broccoli stalk. And the banana skins. They'll eat the like flesh part of the banana skins probably relatively quickly, but not these skin sides. So let me just fish out all these little pieces of that apple and put that in there. I'm going to have to consolidate these containers, but I'm not going to put everything in either of them. There's some carrot tops. I think I'll save the rest for next time. This is probably about twice as much food as I gave them last time, and I don't want to overfeed them. It's really important not to overfeed your compost worms, especially when you're working with a smaller population like this. They will breed and we'll have more over time, but yeah, you don't want to give them too much food. So I have quite a few tea bags actually. These are all paper-based tea bags that either the box that they were purchased in or the brand's website says that they are compostable paper-based. I don't think I'm going to be able to put all of those in there either. I do have one in here that is, it kind of has a plasticky feel right here. But the brand website says that these are fully compostable and they are plant-based material. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on where I put that right here. And next time, just kind of see what's going on with that, see if that's still there. Maybe they won't eat it if it's plastic. And I'm just putting in the rest of this damp shredded paper. They probably don't need all of that, but I already got it wet and I don't want to have it like a container of wet cardboard or wet paper just hanging out until next time. That just seems like something that will get kind of gross and slimy. So I am going to top it off here with a little bit of this eggshell grit. I probably could not give them too much very easily, but I want to be really careful with, I guess I'm not totally sure how much of that they can consume. So I put a little bit of extra of the dry shredded paper on top there, just to kind of bulk it up a little. No real reason other than it just felt like I should. So I'm just covering everything up, making sure that all of the food scraps are completely buried. We have a tiny, slight fruit fly issue that we are almost done with in our kitchen, but there's still a couple stragglers hanging out, and I just the lid on this is really good for keeping out insects, but I just want to be 100% sure that they do not get attracted to this area. So I'm just going to level out this, and oh, that's just one of the tea bags. It just was sticking up and I wasn't sure what it was. So let me just pack everything in. I am gonna, I think, check the other layers really quickly here just to kind of see how much moisture or worms have has found its way into the lower layers. So let me just set this aside really quick. So there is kind of quite a bit of moisture coming into that second layer, but I don't see any worms actively. They could be there. And then this layer still seems pretty dry. These layers do not seem nearly as full as when I put them in because they got compacted down really quickly, and I think they get compacted down way more easily than cardboard probably would. So I'm excited to switch over to cardboard. And I also just picked up the whole thing so that I could check to make sure there weren't any worms in the bottom. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.